Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw a bit of a pullback, but then buyers stepped right back in and pushed ES beyond Friday's high. So heading into the open, the buy side is a bit more dominant. Our short-term bias continues to be neutral because the market is still technically balancing within a range. Now, in the event that this overnight bullishness continues, the upside objective is going to be 78 to 80 half, which marks the all-time high and essentially the upper edge of the recent trading range. And in order to reach 78 to 80 half, we need to see broad market strength and some upside momentum. The expectation is for responsive sellers to be active on first test of 78 to 80 half, and then in order to put in any kind of sustained breakout, we would have to see excess broad market strength, participation from the other markets, and persistent upside momentum. Given the recent ranges and the level of volume and volatility, it's unlikely that we'll see any kind of sustained breakout beyond 80 half today. But if the buy side is persistent and the upside momentum is there, then there is potential to probe above 80 half, but we will have to see that strength in real time. On the downside, ideally, we want to see the buyers holding ES above the 69 HVN, above the previous VPOC, and if there's some real strength in this market, then ideally it even holds above the previous close of 70.75. And in the event that we get a pullback towards 66 to 68, even though it's initial support, we will have to assess the situation in real time. If we're seeing a lot of intraday weakness in real time and there is persistent downside momentum, then perhaps the high of day would be in and 66.68 might provide a reaction, but it does not have to be a reversal spot. So on the downside, we will have to assess and make sure that we're not seeing excess weakness and that from there we can still target a move back up towards the overnight high or towards 78 to 80 half. So even though 66 to 68 is an active area of support, we do have to assess how the market approaches it and what the situation looks like in real time, because if the market is truly strong, then you don't really want to see a deep pullback towards 66 to 68. Below that, we have support at 60 half to 62 half, which marks Friday's low, and that's a spot where responsive buyers are likely to be active on first test. And then below that, we have last week's low at 24.57 and the 56 half HVN, and buyers are likely to defend that on first test as well. So again, heading into the open, our short-term bias is neutral. Overall, the market is still in a fairly balanced state, but the buy side has been more active in the overnight session, and we'll be watching to see if that strength is going to continue in real time. The upside target is 78 to 80 half, and if the market opens too close to that zone, then there may not be sufficient reward to risk to justify going long. And if we don't get a pullback towards 70.75, then there may not be a valid long setup available to us off the open. So given this neutral short-term bias, we just have to be a little more vigilant on how things are developing in real time. We have to be open to the market still continuing to balance and move in either direction, but we are still going to favor the long side in the event that we get a pullback towards the previous close or towards the previous VPOC, as long as we're not seeing any excess weakness or any major warning signs. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain the control that we've seen in the overnight session, and we'll take it from there.